Hello and welcome back to another episode of Boxcast with myself, Sean, Michael,
hello,
and Steve in Japan. Have to always mention that Steve's in Japan. They could be. This episode, we're going to have a little chat about what we've been playing, and then we're also going to discuss some of the latest gaming news in the industry, including the Microsoft layoffs, and as well as unfortunately, massive layoffs hit the industry last week, and also the Switch 2 ban controversy, which we'll get into a bit later on. I'm going to throw it over to Steve to start off to tell us what he's been playing recently.
Nice and succinct, Sean. Well done. Very, very well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm being nice today. Because I'm not always very nice, if we're being honest now. But
that's true. Yeah, but we've got the gold star system today, so basically, whenever Steve's not nice, he gets a gold star taken away from him.
Yeah.
If
Sean
he's
cuts my
nice,
internet if I'm bad. That's why it was so bad last week. Okay. So the first game I've been playing this month is an amazing game. I'm sure you guys have heard of Indiana Jones.
Cool. The Machine Games, isn't that the name of the developer?
That's
Xbox.
right, the 1989 point-and-click adventure game classic. Why is Final Fantasy II on the screen?
I have no idea. Sorry about that.
Wow, this Indiana Jones game is pretty out there, actually, if you think about
it. So I've been playing the 1989 point-and-click adventure game, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. So, let me just explain why I've been playing this game, first of all. I've been on a point-and-click adventure game buzz, and I've played through all of the LucasArts adventure games, the really popular and critically successful ones. But there's a whole bunch of other games in their back catalogue that didn't get the remake treatment or just aren't really talked about in the same sense of reverence. So that's why I decided to go back and play this. It was a bad idea.
Oh god, yeah. I can imagine, like those old point-and-click adventure games. Like, is it try this item on 20 different things? The usual crack.
It's actually, well, you might remember last year when we were discussing our Game of the Years and worst Game of the Year. My worst Game of the Year was Zach McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders.
What a
that
great
was the
name.
game. It's a great title. It really is. But the reason I hated that game so much is because you could soft cock
yourself. It's really bad. It hits all men.
There it is. Gold star. This one, you can soft lock yourself in that game and basically prevent yourself from finishing. In this one, it's possible. You don't necessarily soft lock yourself, but you can make it extremely difficult to continue. It's very similar to Monkey Island in a lot of respects, the original Monkey Island, but they introduce these really weird kind of side elements. One of them is mazes, which is fine. It's not too bad. But the other really horrible thing it introduces is one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah.
I think it'll probably come up on screen like shortly, but there's points where you'll meet a Nazi and you have to try and talk your way out of it. And if that doesn't, and it's actually about to happen now on screen, I can see. If you can't talk your way out of a situation, you just start fighting in hand-to-hand combat. And this is absolutely awful. It's kind of a rock, paper, scissors, low punch, mid punch, high punch kind of situation.
Yeah.
And it's not terrible, but the main issue I have with it is your health doesn't regenerate after you finish the fight. So I got to about the midway point before basically getting into a series of fights, and then I just saved when I had like no health left, and I just couldn't continue. So I pretty much gave up.
Yeah. That's the thing with those old adventure games, though. It's so easy to soft lock or like get yourself in a position where your resources are so low. It's really not user friendly. Oh, and there's the boxing as well. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's fucking really good. Yeah.
I mean, the Machine Gun Games version like improves on it slightly, but this was still, pretty impressive. I will say, to its credit, the puzzles in this game are a lot better than the previous. There was one really good one I enjoyed where it was very similar to the Monkey Island style of puzzles where there was a big door and I couldn't open it, and there was a line of skulls in front of the door. And I noticed that I could push them, but they didn't do anything. And I was there for ages trying to figure out what to do. Then I realized each skull you push makes a different note. And I had this like melody in my journal that says, oh, so I have to make this song. So you have to kind of push the skulls in order to make this song, and then the door opens. And that's really, really good puzzle design. So it's really weird. It's kind of approaching Secret of Monkey Island levels of good design, but it's got all these weird extra bits that it's trying to do, you know, to make it innovative and interesting, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, trying to add action-y elements because it's Indiana Jones, but it doesn't really fit with this sort of genre. Does it follow the movie, The Last Crusade? Does it follow that pretty closely?
Yeah, it expands on a lot of bits just to make them more, you know, make them longer, more interesting. But for the most part, it is the exact same as that movie. There is one thing I have to mention that I was so happy to discover. So in The Secret of Monkey Island, right, if you get caught by somebody, you'll often have to try and talk your way out of a situation. And one of the default responses is almost always, I'm selling these fine leather jackets. Now, I never really thought too much about that. I just kind of thought, okay, that's just something kind of funny that Guybrush says. But then I realized that actually originates from this game, because you have to actually sell somebody a leather jacket in order to progress, which I was like, that's amazing. That's really cool. Now I know where that line comes from. So that was satisfying. But other than that, this game I really wouldn't recommend. I didn't get to the end, and I just watched the rest on YouTube, and I wasn't pushed.
Yeah, fair.
So,
fair.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I am with Indiana Jones. Cool. Anything you guys want to comment on before I pass it on to Sean?
It looks like shit. But I'm sure, especially back in the day, and I've heard like it's one of the better written one. Like it's a LucasArts adventure game, so it's going to have pretty good writing. But yeah, nothing apart from that.
It is worth mentioning there is a sequel to this. It's Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, and that might be the one you're thinking of.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, this one is slightly less critically acclaimed.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll pass it over to Sean then, so he can tell us what he's been playing.
Cool. Yeah. I'm going to try out this transition thing and see if
let's
works.
see this, guys. Hold your breath.
Okay. So yeah, the first
Final Fantasy 3.
The first game, which I recently actually just completed, is The Altars, which I think I talked about recently.
Yeah, cool. From the makers of This War of Mine, or
yes,
is that what that's called? This War of Mine.
This War of Mine, yeah. 11-bit Studios. They also make they kind of specialize in, I guess, like sim strategy games. Like Frostpunk is a big game from them, which I've never
that's
played.
them as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think they just
What
brought
if
out Frostpunk 2.
you could change the decisions you regret in your life,
it's a bit of a mix of genres.
and see the outcomes of those choices with your very own eyes.
There's a lot of management going on.
The Altars tells the story of Yandol,
Basically, the premise
a
of
simple
it is
miner
you
who
crash land
survived
on
a crash
this
landing on a
like
hostile
this mining
planet.
expedition. You crash land. The rest of the
He
crew
quickly
is dead,
realizes that what was
and it's up
supposed to
you
be a lifetime
survive.
job opportunity
Also, the sun
turns into a desperate
sun on
fight
the
for
planet
his
is
life.
like deadly. So if you're in the
Jan will need to handle a large mobile base that's designed to be operated by an entire team of qualified personnel. Even worse, the planet Jan landed on revolves around the deadly scorching star. Escaping the sunrise is crucial for survival.
But as the
Despite his best
efforts, you're
efforts,
not going to be alone.
Jan simply lacks the time and skills to
it's
deal
not
with
really
all
a
these
spoiler,
problems
of course, it's
on
the
his
game,
own.
and it's pretty early on in the game as well.
But
that you
the planet
come across
Jan
this
is
resource
stranded
the
on
planet, which
is
what
home to a
the
mysterious
mining expedition was
substance
sent out
called
for in the first
rubidium.
place, which has a lot of
With its use and the
scientific
help of the
properties, I
quantum
guess, for,
computer on board,
cloning,
Jan is able to
for
create
cloning
alternative
basically,
versions
but
of
like
himself.
Earth is looking for this
The
to
Altars.
help humanity with stuff like that. One thing you can do is use this to
Each one of them is a result of altering a crucial decision from Jan's past. The altars are a reflection of the questions he asks himself. What if I never left my hometown? What if I didn't drop out of college? What if I fought harder to save my marriage?
Went for one job over another or something
Our
like
alters
that,
have the
your
necessary
life
knowledge
path
and
would have
skills
splintered
that we
and,
desperately
your
need to
future would have been
succeed.
different then.
But they
So
also
that's
come
how
with their own
Introduction.
goals,
Got a quick
ambitions,
tech
and fears,
update. Apparently,
all derived from
we're
their different
broadcasting
life
video
paths.
Oh, we are.
volume.
Okay, sorry.
Just turn that down.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Apparently, no one could hear you over it. So,
Oh, great. Okay. Cool. Well, I'll try recap quickly, but sorry about that technical issue.
So you're on this planet. You got to mine this stuff. You end up cloning yourselves, and it's a mixture of base building and exploration to get resources.
Yeah. Okay, so to get into the gameplay, you can clone yourself a number of times with each clone having different characteristics. So like you can have a scientist, you can have a miner, you can have a technician, a doctor, so on and so forth. You can only have a limited number of clones, and there's more than you can create in one playthrough. So you have to kind of pick and choose like what strategy you want to go with. There's no wrong way to do it though. And each clone has, or each alter, I guess you should say, has like completely different personality and different traits and stuff. So the core gameplay loop, I guess, is going out during the daytime to mine different resources, managing the moods of your alters as well, because they can become pissed off. They can even like rebel against you and kill you. And then also building things in the base, like new modules, like bedrooms for them, like places for them to hang out, and also stuff like different like storage, so you can hold more resources. And then getting all this done, also trying to figure out just what's going on, like why the crew died. You know, you're also in communication with some people from Earth, but you don't really know who they are and if they're trying to be like helpful or if they're just like looking to follow their own aims.
Does that resolve? Does the story resolve in a good way? Okay,
it does. There's a number of different endings, so I've only gotten 2 of the endings, but I think there's 3 main endings, but then they all splinter off as well. So, but it does it does pretty much resolve in the end. But it's really cool. Graphics are gorgeous, as you can see on screen. The gameplay is really fun if you're into that like management and also resource gathering gameplay, which I really enjoyed. Fire Loan Sales and Changing Tides. I remember I talked about them on a previous podcast, which were all about kind of managing your base, a moving base, which like I saw this had, and that like drew me to it straight away. So yeah, it's really cool. It's something different, and there's something there for everyone. I think some people won't like the management aspect, while they'll love the survival, and vice versa. But I think it all comes together in a really nice package. So
okay, sick. It looks really interesting. It's like an interesting evolution of what they did before. Because I remember this War of Mine had that sort of 2D base building elements with it, but I don't know, the bleakness of that game sort of always put me off.
Yeah, that's a game that I tried to play a few times as well, and I think it's a very much slower paced game that as well, and it just didn't grab me. But there's definitely a lot of influence from that in this, especially when it comes to the people management and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I recommend it. If
the planet exploration bits they remind me a lot of Death Stranding.
Yeah, Michael, you said that to me as well. I mean, I wouldn't say it's no, the traversal isn't as difficult as Death Stranding, definitely. But it's just I get what you mean, like the kind of landscape and stuff gives you
vibe
that.
It's more the visual. Yeah, it's not really like it's the visual of it. Yeah,
it gives off that vibe 100%. But yeah, it's not really the same. But it is fun.
So how long is it roughly?
I'd say, I think it took me like just over 20 hours, maybe 20 to 30 hours, somewhere thereabouts. But that was me doing like a lot of side stuff as well, which you don't need to do. Like there's an upgrade tree as well for your base and yourself and things like that, which you don't need to get everything on that, but you can if you want. And also because like you might have there's a counter in the game which shows you like, oh, the sun is going to rise in 8 days or whatever, and you could hang around for those 8 days even if you have enough resources to move, to just gather more stuff and do extra things. But if you want, you can just leave then, and that'll actually make the game shorter technically, because those days don't carry over.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
But yeah,
that looks cool.
So I think I'm throwing it to Michael.
Yeah, for the first game I'm going to discuss is Jusant.
Oh, sick.
Now, this is the first of 2 games that I may be mispronouncing the title of, which is sort of fucked.
I think you're pretty. Yeah, I think you're pretty close.
It's
Jusant.
yeah, it's a French word. I've seen it said 10 different ways by reviewers and stuff like that, but Jusant being the worst. But it's a French word that refers to the tide. This one, so this was a free game this month, and I'm not sure I would have picked it up otherwise, but I'm really glad I did. Did you play this, Sean?
Yeah, I completed it. Yeah, I really liked it.
So it's funny. So to get into the good parts, I love the aesthetic. You were climbing up this massive pillar in the middle of a barren wasteland, and the basic premise is you're trying to get to the top, obviously, and water has ceased to flow in this civilization. So you're picking up, little logs that are talking about how people are dealing with that and the civilization they had before. But it's amazing looking. It's got like this sort of soft Play-Doh look almost. But there's a certain amount of cutscenes in it when like you get to certain destinations that they do. It's developed by Don't Nod, and they do a really good job of animating the characters in like a minimal way. That reminds me of like old school animation, but like that is very expressive at the same time. And there's not a word of spoken dialogue in the entire game. There's the logs that you can pick up that are written. But
they've learned their lesson then from Life is Strange.
I knew you did. What was it? What was the quote you always say?
Welcome to the rock show, Shaka Bra.
Shaka Bra. Okay, cool. They do say that 7 times at the end of the game, actually.
Oh, well, good. There's an Easter egg then. Yeah. That's fine.
The climbing mechanics are great as well. It's not too... Because what initially put me off, and the reason I wasn't going to get it is I thought, this is going to be like a QWOP-style thing. But it's actually a lot more simplified, but very satisfying as well. The fact that you have to hold the shoulder buttons for each of your hands does give you the feeling of holding on to the cliff face, but without it getting too, okay, I have to scratch my head and rub my belly at the same time sort of thing. Those sort of like counterintuitive motions. And like they add elements throughout that slightly complicate the climbing. And it's got this journey-like vibe. But I think I prefer it to Journey in some way. Journey is a beautiful game, and it's probably got the aesthetic thing down a bit better than Jusant, but it's a lot more engaging from a gameplay point of view. And it's also, the climbing can be, while there are trickier sections, it's quite chill and calming and meditative in a lot of ways. Lovely soundtrack as well. What I didn't like... Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Sorry, I'm looking at the footage of this. I'm really liking the look of this. I'm very into this.
It's free this month on the PS Plus free games thing, Steve. I'd pick it up. It's quite short as well. That's my biggest problem with it, actually. Ironically. I know I'm always crying for shorter games, and it doesn't outstay its welcome, but I sort of wish it was like, I think I completed it in 5
About
hours.
5 hours,
Yeah, something like that. And I could have done with an extra hour or 2. I think there is a point, this is like a slight spoiler, but there's a point where you get a certain distance up the cliff, and then there's a event that happens that like propels you up basically to the top. And that felt a lot like, to me, that they ran out of budget or time and they couldn't do, because I was expecting like a lot of a really tough climbing challenges to get to the top. And sort of looking forward to that in a way, because it's a very easy game. But no, it sort of skips all that. And I was still enjoying the game. Now, you can go back and do collectibles and stuff like that, but like in terms of the core central experience, I could have done with a little more. Yeah. But that's the mark of a good game, I think, as well.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want you to tell me, if I'm wrong, don't tell me what the actual answer is. But the thing that propels you to the top, is it a cannon?
That would have been sick, actually. If it was optional and it was like, hey, listen, if you're bored with the game and you want to just get to the
shoot
end,
yourself
bang,
out of a cannon,
here,
yeah.
or you can climb
That
this
would be
mountain.
awesome.
But amazing visuals. They do so much with like a limited sort of like aesthetic palette to work from.
It's really cool how like you're basically in the same place the whole time because you're just climbing this big rock, but you get to like another level and you just look out and like it still blows you away every time.
Yeah, the view is always amazing for like what is probably like a smaller budget game than a lot of other games that we'd be talking about. And also one thing they do, this is all set into one big spire of rock, but they manage to make each level, quote unquote, look visually distinctive and have its own vibe, which is a really good job on that.
Did you ever find you got to it? I think once or twice there was a point where I couldn't figure out where to go.
Well, you have a companion that you can use to scan the environment, and they gave you.
He wasn't helping.
No, it is very vague, the indications they. I think he tells you your destination and not necessarily how to get there.
He shows you like an orb thing or something, doesn't he? Yeah.
But part of the fun is figuring it out. So there was 1 or 2 points where I was like, okay, I don't see anything climbable around me. But it always tended to be that I forgot that you can swing put like a pinion in. Is that what they call it? Or like you could put a thing in the wall that you can swing from. I think he's going to do it in a minute on the screen, actually. And you can use that to sort of get to other areas. I wouldn't have minded it asking a little more from you in terms of lateral thinking from that, because there was only like 1 or 2 times where I had to do that, but maybe it's one of those playtest things where people could not figure out where to go, so they decided to streamline it. But all in all, I really, really enjoyed it, and I just wish either due to budgetary or, I don't know, pacing issues, they decided to cut it a bit short. I wish it was a little longer.
And just to mention as well, because I mentioned it last week, that their new game, Aphelion, I think it's called, is taking a lot of inspiration from this. That's the space game.
Oh,
but
yeah.
a lot of the movement kind of like reminded me of this. And I think it's almost a similar art style as well.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out. Let's throw it over to Steve for his next game.
Okay, so just to bring it from the high heights of the last 2 games, bring it right down to a low level. So I've been playing a game called American Hero.
Okay.
So how to explain this game? Well, first of all, it's an FMV game. And it was originally released for the Atari Jaguar. And it basically, I say it was originally released. It never was actually released. It was fully developed for the Jaguar, but because the Jaguar failed so badly, they had to cancel this game, even though it was practically finished. But they've re-released it because they had all this stuff filmed. And it
has ladies in it.
Is this appropriate for YouTube?
Yeah, exactly. Cover your eyes, kids.
Don't worry. There's nothing too bad. This is as racy as it gets. Yeah, so this game is kind of awful. I've always been.
There's a trend here with Steve of just playing awful games.
Why do you do this to yourself?
Let me explain why I do this, right? Because that is partially true, Sean, actually. But no, so the reason I play these awful games is because I'm chasing that high of like finding a game that's so bad it's amazing. Because when you do find that, it is incredible. And I thought this might be one of those games. The best bits are basically the bits that you're seeing now at the very start of the game. Just to give you an idea of what kind of game this is, I might just read you the synopsis from the Wikipedia, just so you can know like what the game is about. So you play as former military intelligence operative Jack Devon, tasked by his ex-partner Hoover with finding a missing biologist (brackets and former crush) end brackets Laura, who developed an antidote to a deadly virus created by germ warfare specialist Karl von Kruger.
So
Kruger had already
Irish.
Yeah, sorry, that laughs slightly into Scottish, I think there. But, Kruger had already begun spreading the virus through Los Angeles water supply network in order to take control of the United States, and Jack was assigned to stop Kruger before the chemical weapon managed to spread nationwide. Yeah, so this is just one of those games where basically you're given a choice, and you have to, basically it gives you the choice 3 times each, and you have to press X when it lands on the choice you want to do. So for example, just there, you had an option to either listen to Hoover or party, and it keeps switching back and forth. And when it lands on, say, party, you press X and you'll go party. So
I always select party, man, every time.
Yeah. Literally the best part of the entire game is the bit that's about to happen. And that's not because of the sexy naked dancing lady, but because glitter ball there, that's actually a supersonic weapon that will be slowly attacking you shortly.
What the fuck?
And that's the best.
Sorry. Sorry, go on, Steve.
But no, that's like the best of it. It's kind of terrible. It's really one of those games that you might as well just watch it on YouTube. Even if it was free, I would almost recommend watching on YouTube rather than playing it, because it's not really ridiculous enough to be funny, and it's not really fun to play either. So that's kind of all I really have to say about it. It's just not a very good game. But I can hear you guys enjoying watching it.
I'm seeing that a bit before you. That's what I was laughing at.
Okay. There was there is a warning, I will say, at the start of this game saying this is reflective of a culture of an earlier time of the 90s. So it does acknowledge that is not okay. That's pretty shocking. But it's that kind of game.
He's got a nice boombox.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
He's mesmerized by that disco ball.
I admire your commitment to looking for the room of video games. And hopefully one day you'll find it and we'll all have to play it. But this looks like one of those ones where it's just like, unless they're doing some cheesy shit on screen, it's not going to be that fun to play.
There is one part of the game where you break into your former lover / crush's house, and there is this gigantic, comically stereotyped Russian lady, and like she's like a muscle henchman or something, like, so she can like absolutely take you out if you let her, so you kind of have to avoid her. That's kind of funny, but that's about it. Yeah, no, it's not a good game. I wouldn't recommend to anybody.
Okay, well, moving on from Steve's stripper game, Sean, what else are you playing? Strippers, sorry, plural, yeah.
So I decided to jump back. I'm actually kind of going back into a few games from the PS3 360 era, and one of them was Brutal Legend.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, which I think we mentioned for some reason recently on the podcast. But I just decided to. Ozzy Osbourne did his like Back to the Beginning thing. I think a couple of weeks ago, and that reminded me of him in this game as the Guardian of Metal, I think he's called. And so I decided to jump into it. And yeah, a lot of fond memories with this. I don't think I completed it back in the day, but so I thought like, I'll give it another go. And it is still a lot of fun, and actually like graphically kind of holds up as well. Like it's not going for like realistic style graphics, it's more cartoony, I guess. So it kind of holds up. One downside I'll say, or one flaw really with it is, so I'm playing it on the Xbox through backwards compatibility, and I get the way that works on the Series X and S is it like emulates a 360. So it doesn't play natively on it. And it can be like really clunky at times, like loads of frame drops, especially in the open world or when there's a big battle going on. And you kind of can't ignore it. It does get annoying. So
I think the original was like that as well.
Was it?
Yeah, I think like, well, I can't, but I remember technically not performing very well.
Right, okay, yeah. And also I don't remember, or I think I maybe remembered the combat being more fun, but it's really not.
It's quite simplistic, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. I think because the way you move Eddie, your character, around, it's very like up, down, left, right. If you get me, it's not a smooth like
analog style.
Yeah, it's not that smooth. So when you're in combat with loads of enemies on screen, it can be a little bit clunky. But the humor in the game is still great. Still, Jack Black's amazing. The amount of like famous, musicians and stuff they got for this game is incredible. And the soundtrack as well is sick. It's a bit like, it's still a fun game, definitely, but it has its flaws looking back.
Do you like the RTS bits?
So I've only just gotten to the first one of those, and yeah, I mean, I remember liking it back in the day, and I don't hate it, but it's like I can see now playing it again. Wow, like they just pull that out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They do kind of try and like build you up to it. So like when you first unlock the headbangers, your first kind of what would you call them? Like group of allies.
Guys.
Yeah, when you first unlock them, it kind of teaches you, you can group up with them and you can send them over there. You can tell them to stop here and like guard this place. But then I guess when it introduces more elements, then you're expected to do that same thing with all of them. When you're doing like the RTS like battles and stuff. And it can kind of get a lot because it goes from like, okay, you're just like, these are your allies, they can help you out, to here's a whole army basically, and you need to control them all that way in order to win the battle. You can't really expect to solo it. Like you kind of can just say, follow me to everyone, and then go to where like the big group of enemies are, and they'll fight automatically anyway. So you can kind of get away with that. But in the bigger ones where you need to defend certain positions, and you can't be everywhere at once, so you have to command them a bit more.
I remember when I played it back in the day, I just fell off. Like I didn't finish it because I really didn't like the RTS sections, and I've heard some people defend them as not as bad. It's just the general consensus from people is it's not that bad. It's just that people didn't expect it and they wanted a different game.
Yeah,
it's definitely like you start off in the game. It's open world hack and slash nearly.
And that's the game I wanted.
Yeah, and then it transitions to that. So I would love them to do a remaster of it and maybe like iron out some of that stuff. Like maybe, I don't know, they could do an option where some of the RTS stuff like is done automatically for you. If like you just press one button and it's done, for people that don't like that. But it's still it holds up in a lot of ways and falls down in others. But it's still a great game. And Double Fine, I know you guys love Psychonauts, and I've never played it, but I think I'm going to go on to Psychonauts after this.
Ooh,
cool.
That'd be great, man.
Yeah, I really want to try it out. So
it's janky.
Yeah.
It's really janky. It's the first time they made a 3D game, and it was their first game, and they hadn't made platformers before, but the humor and the level design is amazing in it. So
sick.
Just don't be expecting
all of
it to
our
be,
listeners. All of our listeners are going to be so happy that you just said 3D.
Fuck off.
He didn't. Yeah,
3.
You put a H in there.
There's a H somewhere. There's the smell of a H around it.
Just can I just very, very quickly just to pitch in, like I love this game, but I agree pretty much with everything you guys said. Like the RTS elements aren't bad at all. Like I think they're fine for what they are, but I think we all just wanted an open world game because driving around in, I think it was called The Juice. Is that what, am I right? Remember that? Yeah, driving around The Juice, and the soundtrack for this game is unbelievable. So that was the best part of the whole game, just driving around and doing stuff like that. But
That's
but
all.
it's still worth a play, a dig into the backlog, if you will. But
I remember it being so fucking cool that he got Jack. Like I remember being so hyped for this game because I was like, Tim Schafer, Jack Black, heavy metal. You've got a car. Like sign me up. But then
And I still love the intro where he it's like Jack Black in person
in a record store,
going into a record store, and he takes out like the Brutal Legend vinyl, and that's your main menu. Then he puts it down on the table. It's still so cool.
That's sick. Yeah,
that is sick. Yeah.
Over to you, Michael.
That's it.
Yeah. Sorry, Steve.
Stole his thunder again.
Slight delay.
I'll take a gold star away from myself for that one.
No, you deserve that gold star, Sean. You keep it. In fact, give yourself 2.
Oh, okay then.
John's sorry for himself.
Sorry.
So number 2 in the list of games that I may be pronouncing incorrectly is Olija. It's spelled Olija, but I'm pretty sure it's Olija.
Oh, I've heard of this one. Yeah.
This was I picked it up because it's dirt cheap at the moment. It's on sale. I think I got it for like £1.50 or something like that. So basically, it's a Metroidvania light is how I describe it. With this very sort of distinct pixelated art style. The basic premise is that's Sean opening a brewski. The basic premise is like, you don't even need it, to be honest, but it's you're from a distant land and you're searching for resources for your people, and you get shipwrecked in this mystical sort of foreign place to you, and you find a magical harpoon, which is one of the central mechanics of the game, and you're basically searching for a way home and rescuing the guys that were on your ship.
Yeah, this is definitely a placeholder kind of plot, all right.
Yeah, no, it's the basic bare bones of what you need. So I call it Metroidvania Light because it actually has like you've a central hub that you sail to different levels from, and those levels themselves aren't that complicated. Like part of what makes a Metroidvania is having this huge interconnected world, and you sort of have to not memorize it, but have a good idea of spatial awareness in terms of where you are and how it relates to other places. You don't need that really here. Each level you go to is its own self-contained thing, and it might have some diverging paths, but it's very easy to get back to them. And similarly, like one of the hallmarks of Metroidvanias is, every time you unlock a new ability or a new weapon, it opens up traversal. And this has that very lightly, but it's just like you get to a locked gate, you can't get through until you have this X MacGuffin, whatever. You get that, then you can get through the gate, and then you continue on a linear path. So I think this is all intentional. I don't think they're aiming for a Metroidvania style. I think they just wanted to take some of those elements in. But saying that, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm around 3 hours in. Apparently, it's only like 4.5 hours long, so I'm quite near the end. So a very short game again. With this one, I haven't finished it yet, but I'd say I'll be like satisfied, not like Jusant where I wanted more. I'd say I'd be like, yeah, that was good. It was what I needed. The combat's a lot of fun. So you can use the harpoon to stick in enemies or objects around the level, and then you can teleport to that. So it opens up a lot of possibilities for like they have boss fights where there's multiple levels with sort of holes that you can attach to on the upper and lower levels, so you can quickly zip around and like flank bosses that way and stuff like that. So those sort of elements are very cool in it. I haven't really been challenged, which is funny for something that's in this style, and a Metroidvania is like, I was just
I was about to say, sorry, like, I mean, this looks like it would be good, but it would need to escalate to something quite extreme for it to really shine. And right now, the main issue that I'm having looking at the gameplay is it looks really simple.
Well, I will say this is the very start of the game that you're looking at, and this is before you even have the harpoon. So they add more mechanics and stuff like that. And at the moment, I'm in a level that's really emphasizing the puzzle possibilities of being able to teleport to different areas, and I'm really enjoying that. That's an element that's really well done. But like, there's these 3 bosses that you have to fight, and they establish them pretty early in the game. Like, you need to kill these 3 guys in order to get to the end or whatever. And I've killed 2 of them, and they were like dirt easy. I don't think I've died once in this game. Right. And if you think about like 3 hours into Blasphemous, I've died like 50 times. Now that's on the further end of the scale. Like that's an unforgiving game in a lot of ways. But like, I think there's something to a challenge sometimes. So I think it could use a bit more of a challenge in terms of enemies, or especially bosses as well. Like I sort of steamrolled through a lot of them. Like the thing about being able to teleport around is it's very hard for bosses to get a bead on you. So I found it very easy to dodge around and stuff like that. But I'm really digging the art style. At first I was like, it's a bit, I don't know, it hasn't a polish to it or something.
It's basic, I guess, but it looks really nice.
It's deliberately basic, but there's been times where they do interesting things with perspective and negative space that actually is really arresting when it happens. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. A nice snack of a Metroidvania. After like all the other ones I've played have been like 20 plus hours. It's sort of refreshing to play one that's really streamlined. Weird sort of, I don't know what the game is going for in terms of like, not to get too highfalutin, but like that whole exoticism of foreign countries, colonial sort of vibe. You're coming from like what I presume is either an English or Scandinavian or European at least country to what's framed as an Asian reading country, and it's all about these horrors that greet you there and being like a foreigner in a land you don't understand. I don't know if it's just borrowing from the media that's done that before, or if there's any commentary, or if it's just like an aesthetic thing. They like the setting and they want to explore it that way. But I'm not really reading too much into it. It is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I would recommend, and it's dirt cheap at the moment as well. Combat's fun.
Sick.
I think I actually have this game. Maybe I just haven't dug into it yet.
I think you do.
It looks like it looks like solid enough game. I'll probably give it a go. I mean, if I have it, I probably will.
Super short, like I was saying as well. Yeah. So there's the map screen, so you can see like that. You go to that area, complete that area, then you're done, basically. So and I like, even now I've unlocked a few more things. I don't think there's anything back at the first levels that I can do differently. I'd like, you know, the way in classic Metroidvania thing, you see something and you're like, I've no idea what that lock means. Yeah. But then later on you unlock something and it's like, oh, that's how I get through that door. There's none of that really so far, which would help because I love that. I love it relying on you remembering details like that, the genre, I should say. But yeah, not so much in this one.
So it's more like from that hub map, you go to like each area, and that's more like Metroidvania in just that area?
A little bit, as in like there can be divergent paths that you go down and then you have to find your way back. But even that they sort of streamline because sometimes there can be like a portal at the end that puts you back to where you need to go to. Okay. So it's very, very light. Like if someone argued that this isn't a Metroidvania and it's just a 2D action adventure game, I'd say yeah. Probably.
Maybe I'll give it a go as well, because I'm not a huge Metroidvania person, but like if it's on the lighter side, I might take a look at it.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. Music is excellent, I should say.
Cool.
It's got some sexy, moody saxophone randomly, even though like this aesthetic doesn't suit that, but like on certain scenes it has that, and I'm like, why isn't this instrument in more games? It's sick. It sounds really good. I'll throw it back to Stephen.
Okay, so the next game I've been playing is one that's probably going to elicit a lot of discussion and heated arguments because I already know that Michael disagrees with my opinion on this game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the next game I have been playing has been Dusk. And Dusk is fine. Dusk is a fine game. It is perfectly fine. Very enjoyable. But I would say it's probably a little bit overrated.
By Michael, specifically.
By me and like every other reviewer who's ever played the game. But I guess we're all wrong. But sorry, go ahead. Lay out your thesis there.
Well, just before I say, Sean, have you played this game?
I have not.
Seems like your kind of thing.
Yeah, I haven't. Okay. Michael's talked it up a lot to me, and I want to give it a go at some point. But no, I haven't played it yet.
It's like, it is good. Don't get me wrong. I think if you played it, you would enjoy it. And Michael, just to be clear, I'm not saying it's a bad game or anything. I just think that like
my dad made this game. Okay.
Oh, sorry, Michael's dad. No, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just that there's a lot of missed potential in here. The main issue I think I have is the level design. The levels are very bland. For the most part, like it's divided into 3 acts, and the third act definitely mixes things up a lot. The third act is definitely the strongest. But the start, there's so many levels that are just, here's a big open farm, and there's like a barn or 2 in here, and you have to find keys and maybe go underground once or twice.
Oh, but that's what I love about it, is that it's like a big empty, desolate, and there's like a barn with a red sky behind it, and it's just like there's no detail in the sky. It's just a big red block in the sky, but it just like it's so funny. It's like I completely see why you wouldn't like that, but it's so my shit. If you get me,
I get that. Yeah. Like the thing is, I see where you're coming from. Like I kind of like that apocalyptic retro vibe of, you know, this is just a game where the developers just wanted you to feel like this is grim as hell. They had no concept of, you know, is this suitable for certain audiences or whatever. They just didn't care. This is reminiscent of that, but I don't know, it doesn't quite cover up the fact that it's not particularly exciting to play. It's fine. Sometimes it is. There's one level towards the end, and it's like brutal Doom, where there's hundreds upon hundreds of enemies swarming at you. but that really only occurs in the last act. Like the first 2 acts, it's so much just open areas and maybe tunnels, and nothing wrong with that. Like if you're into a boomer shooter, which I am, that can be very therapeutic, but I don't know, I just feel like it didn't quite live up to its potential.
Yeah, I guess like my question about this would be, like what would set this apart from other Doom/Quake clones? Because there's so many on the market right now.
I would put that question to Michael, because I couldn't really answer it.
Well,
yeah, that's kind of yeah.
Two main elements. One is that I think you have to take it in the context of when it was made, as in like some people, like some boomer shooter historian is going to contradict me here, but some people think this is one of the games that kicked off the revival.
Oh,
so
really? Is it that old?
It's older than you think.
Oh, okay.
Do you know when it came out, Steve?
I think it was 2017.
Yeah, so if you think about like since then, you've got
that was when it was released on consoles. There might have been a beta version that was older than that.
Fair. Yeah, so it could, like it's the mid 2010s basically.
Yeah, okay.
It comes back, and like if you think Doom 2016, which we know that is the
but didn't Doom 2016, wasn't that kind of a response to boomer shooters revival?
I don't know, to be honest.
I don't.
Maybe it was more underground. I think Dusk was one of the first that was on my radar as like this is a fan thing, and it's not just like a Doom mod or something like that. So I think that's one element. The other is it's ironically like exactly what Steve said. It's the aesthetic of it, and that goes into like the level design, the sort of the mood that they try to create through like sound effects, and the music as well as a big thing. And I think I know, Steve, that you were a bit more like mild on the music, but for me it's like one of my favorite game soundtracks ever. Andrew Hulshoff, who composed it.
Just a very weird note on the music. So I've listened to the music on YouTube and I love it then, but I just think it's integrated badly into the game.
I will agree. I will agree with that. Yeah, it like I do prefer it. And you know, funnily, some of my favorite tracks are only on the bonus modes. So you can play I think it's called Endless or something like that, is where you just get put into a level and it's like a horde mode. And I think some of the best music in the game is in that mode, ironically.
I don't think I really played that mode, so okay, I might have missed that. But I remember when I was playing it, because I was expecting the music to be amazing, because I've heard you talk about it so much, but it feels like it's much quieter in the game than it is on YouTube. It's just not as bombastic.
So it's just a mix thing, really, then, is it?
Mixed thing, but also like the way it's like to Steve's point, I will agree that like it's sometimes I could use it a bit more. Like it might come in during a boss battle, but then, you know, you sort of, the sound effects are so loud, and maybe the boss battle's short as well, so you don't really get to feel it as much. So yeah, I will take that point actually, because I actually listened to the soundtrack before I played the game, which I've never done with anything else, and I loved it on YouTube. So it could be my perception of it's filtered that way.
Michael was saying he was going to tear my argument apart now, but who's laughing now, I say?
No, I will concede that, but I think everything does come together as well. Like I'm a big fan of the retro aesthetic of it, and the way they make certain things really atmospheric with such limited assets. So there's one level where it's exactly what Steve said, an absolutely desolate area, like even more desolate than what you're looking at right now, as in like it's one floating map without anything around it to make it sense in space, and it's just a big empty cathedral with a red sky behind it, but it's such a striking visual as well. Like it's so grimy metal core sort of 90s shooter vibes.
Yeah.
Like, if you, like, my favorite bits in Quake are when you're going around the castles and it has that purple sky and these really like brutalist looking architecture in the level design. So it sort of scratches that itch for me.
Fair.
But
I'd love for you to play it, Sean, so you could kind of be the deciding vote on this. Tell us, like, because, and again, I want to stress, I just think this is fine. I don't think it's a bad game. I just like, it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. No, I will give it a go.
Just want a quick counterpoint to your other point. Were you saying that like the context of it? I don't think that's really something you can point to as a reason to say it's good, because if you're doing that, then everyone would be like, yeah, Wolfenstein 3D is a fantastic game.
Oh no, but I mean, like, that's more in response to why does this stand out among the boomer shooters, and I think it being one of the first big ones that's like helped inspire a wave of other ones getting popular. I mean, I don't think you should take it like your critical assessment on when it came out necessarily.
I will say the movement looks great. Just the flow, like because
it's a very fast-paced game.
Yeah, it's pretty decent that way.
Yeah, because I just like that can make or break a boomer shooter sometimes if like the pace, your movement speed isn't right, and like the flow of it. But it looks really good in this. Yeah,
I will say just what. Oh, go ahead there, Michael.
Well, I was just going to say it's definitely better than Silent Hill 2.
Whoa, you're just trying to get a rise out of me.
I'm just getting personal.
Just one very quick thing I will say about it that is very cool, and I think Sean, you'll probably like this. Did you play Super Hot by any chance?
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a power up in this that when you get it basically turns the game into Super Hot, where enemies don't move really well. They move really, really slowly, but if you start moving, they start moving at normal speed, and those levels are amazing. It's that's only in Act 3. So much cool stuff happens in Act 3 of this game. Like the first two, if it was just Act 3 and it was really short, I'd probably be a lot more generous. But the first two acts kind of fell apart a bit for me.
Last thing, was there a sequel to this, or is it just a standalone?
No, I think that it's a solo developer, and I think he went on to make a game called Iron Lung.
Oh, that rings a bell.
Oh,
yeah, which is
him?
Yeah, which is like a more of a horror focused game. So not a boomer shooter.
They're making a movie out of that.
Yeah, I heard Markiplier is making a movie about it. Yeah, I don't ask.
Man, they're making a movie out of every game nowadays. So.
But I don't think he's done anything now, unless I'm wrong. But I think he's moved on to something else.
Fair.
And you can sort of tell from the game that this guy's got some horror game inspirations. Like there's certain enemies that like scream to let you know they're there, the goat thing. And it's a bit like I was spooked by it. I'm sure Steve wasn't, but like it spooked me.
I will say there's that one enemy that's like a dog chained up to a rack, and I thought that was a really cool bit of enemy design. I love that.
It's so funny as well when it bursts into a level and it's just like this chaotic, silly thing, but it's also really powerful.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, that was a lovely chat, wasn't it? I'll pass it back to Sean there for his third and final game.
Cool. So the game I'm currently playing, one of the games I'm currently playing, is Neva, which
made by the guys who made Gris.
Yes, made by the same studio, Nomada Studio, French studio, I believe, who made Gris. As you'll see from what's on screen, very similar art style, very similar gameplay as well. The one big difference in this from Gris is they introduced combat, whereas Gris was just completely platforming and puzzle solving.
Machine guns and shit like that.
Gris was more just platforming and puzzle solving. Neva has more of that as well, but also introduces enemies and combat with them, and also a few boss battles as well. So yeah, the whole premise of it, I'm about halfway through at the moment, and the premise, I believe, is Neva is this dog, this companion that you have with you, and I believe that the dog is actually dead, but you're kind of like reliving memories with the dog throughout the game. And at the start, it's kind of like the dog's just following you around, and it doesn't really do much else. But as you progress through the game, you gain more abilities that you can do with the dog. Like you can throw him at enemies and he'll like grab onto them, which can be really useful to keep an enemy in place while you fight another enemy. You can also use it to like for some platforming things later on in the game to like break down walls or platforms so you can jump across to another place. And then also in Act 3, which I'm in at the moment, you can use it to traverse as well. You can like ride the dog across the landscape as well, which is pretty cool. It's a beautiful looking game. It's like the gameplay itself is pretty simple. I will say like the platforming sections later on do get a bit more challenging in like it's not just simply jump from A to B. It's like, oh, you need to jump, drop, down, dash, and like to get up to this other place.
I like that shit.
Yeah, that is cool. And the first time I came across one, I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? But then you do it really intuitively. So, a pretty short game as well. I think it's only about 4 or 5 hours altogether. And it's like very linear as well. There's a couple of places where there might be branching paths because you need to solve a couple of puzzles before returning to where you started to progress on to the next stage. But yeah, it's just a cool little side scroller, like really beautiful looking as well.
The art style looks amazing.
Yeah,
like,
it's
really
great. Yeah. I will say, like, I loved Gree, and it's not up there for me yet with Gree. Like, but but as it goes on, like at the start, I was kind of like, oh, it's a bit tamer. Like the whole thing in Gree was, as you progress through a level and solve puzzles, you introduce color back into the world, which like the way they did it was like it looked really cool. In this, like. So the game is split into the 4 seasons. So you start off in summer, then autumn, winter, and spring. And so each, I just had to think about the 4 seasons.
Like, that's the 4 seasons, all right. Yeah. October.
They call it fall in the game, and I didn't want to say fall, but yeah. But so like each season has its own color palette and things like that. But I'm liking it. As the game progressed, there's like you unlock more abilities, and the one thing that this game has made me realize is I love how creative developers can be with like a 2D game in, I don't know how to explain it, unveiling something as you progress through a level. Do you know what I mean? I guess it's simpler in some ways than in a 3D game, because in a 3D game, like the player can look wherever they want and move around a lot more. But in a 2D game, like you're locked to this, you're locked to that plane basically. And so the way that things can unravel in a level or unveil themselves can just be like, just really cool at times. I don't know how to explain it.
No, I get you. But, and there's an art to that as well. Like as in, there's ways of scene setting in such a limited viewpoint.
Exactly. Well. Yeah. Which anyway, this game has a lot of that. It's really cool.
It seems really strange to me that you said it has the 4 seasons and it ends on spring. That seems like a really bizarre choice to me, because usually they'd almost always end on winter. You know, like that's when everything's dying and everything's desolate and hopeless. You know,
spring is rebirth and things growing again. So maybe that's the vibe.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like a spoiler, isn't it? You know how it ends.
I mean, I will say, like, winter, like, it gets more difficult as it goes on, obviously. So winter, I'm halfway through that now, and that has been pretty difficult. So, I'm not sure what they're going to do for spring, but I'll let you know in the next podcast.
I'm getting very strong Ghibli vibes off of this as well. Like, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that reminds me of like Spirited Away or Nausicaa or stuff like that. I wonder if that was an influence on it.
Yeah, possibly. This is the game. This is the studio's like only their second game. So Gree was their first game ever. I think it won like breakout awards for that. But yeah, no, I'd recommend it if you're looking for something like relaxing. It's not too difficult. Like even the combat, there can be like, it definitely throws a few curveballs at you, especially with the boss battles where like you're going to die until you figure out the power and that kind of thing. But the platforming isn't too difficult. Apart from later on, there's like, I think a level I just went through actually introduced portals into it, which was pretty cool, and I wasn't expecting it. And actually, like, at first glance, the portal looks like an enemy because it's a wide open mouth with red eyes, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" So you just have to walk into it to find out. Basically,
that's weird.
Oh, that's cool.
Leah has portals that look like an enemy's mouth.
Oh, really?
As well, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So over to Michael for your last game.
Yeah, and another one I might mispronounce. I think it's Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
I.
Eagle-eyed viewers will have seen this earlier in the show.
little foreshadowing. Final Fantasy.
I am really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one.
So I don't know how far I am through the game. I think I'm like maybe 3/4 of the way through the game. So I really liked Final Fantasy 1, which I played recently, and for being a stripped down version of those 2D Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy 2 takes some wild swings, and I really, just to get some good stuff out of the way, I really admire that it changed a lot in terms of the leveling up mechanics and in terms of how the story is presented and even like the sort of basic gameplay path that you take. I like almost none of it though, and I much prefer the way everything is done in Final Fantasy 1, I should say. So this, like, it'd be no surprise to anyone. The leveling up system is pretty horrible, I think. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's almost, I think Oblivion does something similar in that when you attack, you level up your attack. When you get hit, it levels up your health. When you use magic, it levels up that particular magic and your magic ability. So that makes a lot of sense, and it's sort of a cool system on paper, but in action is what it means is you need to get hit a lot in order to level up your hit points. If you don't use a magic spell, it's going to be pretty useless throughout the game. And I've found that I'm in a position now where I have 3 magic spells that are really powerful and the rest are crap because I don't ever use them. So what it does is, I guess they wanted to make a system where you could really mold a character's strengths in whatever way you wanted and in whatever way you used them. But what it means in practice is if you want to level something up, you need to grind a lot and do counterintuitive stuff. So there's guides online where they're like, oh, for the first 2 hours, just go into battle and repeatedly hit your own party members so that they level up their HP and stuff like that. That's no fun.
You know,
and it's
the normal way you'd enjoy a game.
Exactly, yeah. Do the opposite of what you think and do something unfun for hours. The story is like more developed than Final Fantasy 1. I would hesitate to call it good, but it has like, it introduces something that's pretty much a staple of Final Fantasies and people making heroic sacrifices. And, you know, some of them are unexpected. It happens like 4 times in the game. So by the 4th one, it's like, okay, well, this dude's going to die. And I'm just at the point where I've gotten my final party member. So it's really weird because it means I haven't been developing that character throughout the entire game. So again, the leveling up system just does not make sense. And I don't like the basic cycle of how you do things is the whole map is pretty much the whole map is open at the beginning of the game. So what I did is I just went around exploring and I found like all these different towns. And then eventually I was like, okay, I should go back and find out what I'm meant to do. So you go back to your central hub basically and talk to the character who tells you what you're meant to do. And then they just send you to one of those towns. And then you do a dungeon there and then you come back. They tell you where to go next. You go to your dungeon, then you come back. And it feels less like you're going out on an adventure and more like you're doing a checklist, really. And it's also got this awkward system where you have to learn key phrases and then ask people about those phrases, which like doesn't work. It's not this sort of game, really. I think it's a holdover from like old text adventures where you had to type out what you wanted. So yeah, it's not really ringing my bell at the moment. There's been some cool enemy design. Like it's an old school Final Fantasy, so it's got a lot of good things going on. I love some of the music as well. The map theme.
The map theme is really good.
It might be one of my favorites. It's got this really like melancholic tone to it, which is really unexpected, and I quite enjoyed that. And like I like the design of some of the characters as well, and I like that they have names and actually speak in this game. They don't really have personalities per se, and yeah, there's one or two unexpected things. The bit where the princess turns out to be like a monster in disguise. I like that sort of stuff, but it's been few and far between, really. So I don't know if I'll finish it. I'll see. I'd like to get to the end, but to be honest, I'm guessing there's going to be a point where the leveling up system is going to fuck me over, and I've gone too far in the game to like I'll have to grind for hours in order to get powerful enough. But I haven't reached that yet, so we'll wait and see.
Does So you're playing the Pixar remaster version. Does that have any like things like invincibility or level up or anything like that in it? Because that could, alleviate some of that.
It does have, which I think all the Pixel remasters have, is the ability to turn off random encounters whenever you want, which is helping if I'm going halfway through a dungeon and I'm out of resources. Weirdly, some resources were quite expensive early in the game, so I nearly got fucked in some dungeons. But the counter to that is I'm worried about being under-leveled if I skip a load of random battles as well. So that's the only, like, there are some other streamlined things, like the keyword thing. They highlight the word that you're meant to ask the person about, so you don't have to cycle through all of them. So that helps with conversations and all like that. But yeah, not loving it so far.
Well, this is kind of what I expected from this game because Sean's just completely switched off from this. Sure. This is the thing. I think everybody who likes Final Fantasy usually has the same thing to say about Final Fantasy 2, in that they appreciate the wild swings it went for. It's cool that they didn't just do another carbon copy sequel. But none of it really works. Some people say the story is quite good. I thought it was fine. Some people like the music. Me too. I thought the music was pretty good. And again, on paper, it's a good idea, but it just doesn't work.
I don't think there's a Final Fantasy with bad music, to be honest. Like, I'd be hard pressed to make that call on any of them.
I'm sure. No, that's a challenge now that I kind of want to really think about. But I'll save that for the next podcast. Remind me of that the next month. I'll be interested to see if you can finish this one, because this was one of the biggest challenges for me to actually finish.
Okay. Yeah. I'm no promises, to be honest. Okay. Cool. And let's throw it to Steve for his final game.
So for my very last game, just to kind of wrap things up appropriately, I have been playing We Love Katamari and Royal Reroll, which is the remaster of the second Katamari game. And this has just been a stress reliever game, just something I want to play to unwind, not really have to think. And if anyone is unfamiliar with these games, I cannot recommend them highly enough. This is... So, actually, Sean, do you know these games at all?
I've heard of it, yeah, but I've never played it.
I'd really recommend it, actually, because it's a game I feel like everybody can appreciate. Like, I know it probably looks like absolute nonsense now when you're looking on screen. I mean, for those who don't know, the basic premise of this game is you're a guy guiding a giant ball, and you have to like roll things up that stick to your ball. And the more you gather up, the bigger you get, and the bigger you get, the larger the items you can roll up get. So you can theoretically start off only rolling up paper clips and drawing pins, but on certain levels, you literally end up rolling up land masses like kaiju, gods, and like America and Australia and that kind of thing. Yeah. There's one level at the very final level. The whole point is every Katamari you make, Katamari are little balls, they get thrown up into the cosmos and turned into planets. And the whole point of the game is to do the very last level, which is open from the very beginning. And you have to roll up all the planets you've made until you're big enough to roll up the sun. There's no really explanation why this is the end game, but that is the end game to do that. It's also really, really... One thing I love about the Katamari games... Well, two things, actually. First of all, it's wacky with a capital whack. It's really, really bizarre. You've got this character called the King of Cosmos, who is a lot of people's favorite video game character ever. He's really how would you describe him?
He's camp.
Completely he's very camp, very unaware of like his surroundings. He's very easy to win over with like a single compliment, and basically he just like listens to people say how great he is. There he is there on the loading screen, and he just listens to people say great things about him, and then he says, okay, I'll do whatever it is you ask because you said that I have a nice mustache. That's more or less how levels go. And yeah, it's a really fun game. It's very easy to play and just unwind, just rolling things up, very therapeutic. But also on some levels, it's absolute chaos when you're rolling over, like you can see here, rolling over an entire like PE team. So yeah, I would highly recommend this to anyone who hasn't played it because it's just fantastic. And last thing, the music is incredible. It is so good. I think Michael, you can attest to that as well, right?
Yeah, especially since like you're spending a lot of time, well, not a lot of time in these levels, but like you're doing something sort of mindless. So like the music is very entertaining and it suits the vibe. But just one thing I was going to say, like I can't remember which one I played, but I loved playing it as well, and for exactly the points you made. But one thing I always loved is the fact that the things you attach to your Katamari ball subtly affect the way it rolls. So you can see the big logs mean that it sort of like jumps a little when it's on that side. And like, I don't know why, but that's really satisfying as well. It's just a little thing.
It's deliberately janky.
Yes.
Like it is very deliberately, like it doesn't want to be a completely smooth experience, because if it is, like, because it even kind of controls a little jankily as well. And that's kind of the point, because if it controlled smoothly, the game would be too simple and you wouldn't really engage with it as much. You have to kind of struggle with the controls in order to make it as engaging as it is. So yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. There's a few special levels on this that I love. There's one I completely forgot about, where you're on a racetrack and you have to go fast. Like you can't stop and you can't go slow. You're going top speed around this racetrack, and you have to collect as many cars that are racing alongside you as you can, and that's tons of fun.
I'd recommend, Sean, if you ever get the chance to play one.
It does look like fun. It seems like almost like relaxing as well. You know, just like
it is.
Yeah. No, it seems cool.
It's very much a game that, like, despite the chaos that is unveiling in front of us right now, it is a very chill, relaxing game that you just like. All you're doing is going around saying, "I'm looking for anything smaller than me that I can roll up into my ball of chaos," and that's it. It's it's great.
And what happens like at the end of the level when you've like fully like collected? Like,
so most of the levels are timed. So usually the goal is something along the lines of make yourself as big as you can in the space of like 5 minutes, or you might have another goal like roll up as many tires as you can. Like it'll usually have a goal like that, and it's almost always timed. But you can play an endless mode that just lets you roll away and you don't have any time limit. And that's really relaxing.
Sick. Yeah, seems really cool.
And there's no guns. Sorry.
Yeah, you can't roll up any guns, no.
Just a ball of AKs just all firing in every direction.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. Okay, cool. Shall we move on to newsy bits?
Yes. Yeah, sure. I think we'll probably start off with Xbox. Some bad news, yeah. So the Microsoft layoffs, which happened, I think it was actually the week before last, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Microsoft laid off another 9,000 employees, which is crazy.
Cancelled a ton of games.
Yeah, so it was actually, the layoffs were across Microsoft wholesale, but they did impact a lot of Xbox studios and stuff as well. So I'll just kind of run down what I know off the top of my head. The initiative got shut down, and they were working on Perfect Dark, which is now cancelled.
And it's such a shame because, I know we all hated Perfect Dark, and it's a meme game for us in a way, but like, it was going to be like, I would have given it a chance when it came out, like a new immersive sim style game. Like that's, I'd love another one of those to be made with like a bit of a budget. So
like the crazy thing is, like, this was going to be a massive game for Xbox, and this studio was started I think in 2017 or 2018, and this is all they've been working on. So
it's so dispiriting for the people who've been working on it as well, like.
And like so they showed off a reveal trailer a couple of years ago, and then they showed gameplay last summer, and it came out afterwards. Then people were saying, "Oh, the gameplay was fake." Then one of the developers came out and said, "No, it was real, but it was like a vertical slice, basically."
But this is like, I think there's a misconception, because this always happens with gameplay trailers. As in, they mightn't have figured out those mechanics, but they're like, "This is what we're aiming for." So
exactly.
There might be some fakery, but it's representative of what they're wanting to do.
Yeah, but I think the worrying thing was, like, I think they were like 5 years into development on this game, and the fact that the core gameplay didn't work outside of this vertical slice. Like the game just didn't run, basically, is what I've heard, outside of this vertical slice. So yeah, it's a shame. I think it was like, so first of all, I think these layoffs, like, they've come from the top of Microsoft, and I think from what I've heard online, it seems to be they're looking to invest 80 billion into AI this year, by the end of this year or something like that. So I think the order has come down from the top of Microsoft being like, okay, we need to get rid of a load of stuff. We need to make up this 80 billion. Because, like, to me, like, another game that got cancelled was Everwild by Rare. That's a game that we didn't really know much about, but they've been working on that for a few years as well. And earlier this year, I think in January or February, Phil Spencer was on a podcast saying that, and he brought it up, that he was really looking forward to Everwild, that he had just been to the studio and said the game looks amazing. So I think, like, you know, it wasn't a decision from Xbox CEOs.
Yeah, I'd say it's from the top.
Yeah, it's from the top, and it's just such a shame, and it's like just a product of being in a huge corporation, you know. So it really
think
sucks.
about, like, the amount of money that Microsoft has pumped into the games division, like acquiring Activision,
crazy,
and, Bethesda as well, like billions they've invested in those. And I've seen some people speculate on whether Activision has sort of subsumed a lot of Microsoft, which is a thing that can apparently happen when a bigger company takes over a smaller company. All the middle management moves into the bigger company and just takes over it. Now, I'm not saying that happened. It's pure speculation, but
yeah, I mean, there were a lot of layoffs earlier in the year and at the end of last year, and a lot of that was to do with taking on Activision, because, like, there was all of a sudden there was like two people doing the same job, because they were both two huge companies that like came into one. So they got rid of a lot of middle management job positions. And yeah, I wonder, did the Activision ones stay? You would think they would keep the Microsoft side and get rid of the Activision, but who knows?
I sort of love that Katamari.
Sorry, that's still going.
No, keep it going.
No,
It sort of relates to what we're talking about.
I had video. I actually got not that. Back to Final Fantasy. I actually had footage to put up here, actually. So
I know, keep the Katamari one up. It works really well. I think so.
I'll just play this for a little bit. Hold on.
But I mean, not to joke or anything, because it is like, obviously
it's a serious
very, very
thing.
disheartening.
Just putting Bill Gates
I'm just
up there.
Yeah, I'm looking at a list of this is a breakdown of all the things that happened, and just on top of the ones that you've mentioned already with the Initiative and Rare, Turn 10, who they're in charge of like the Forza games, 50% of them entirely were laid off.
Jesus, and Forza is such a big series for them as well. Like,
it's wild, isn't it?
Like what I heard there. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, you go ahead, because I'm going to just run through the list. So
I was just going to quickly say about the Turn 10 thing. Like, yeah, Forza Motorsport. So they're the guys behind that, not Horizon. Horizon's made by Playground. And that's like way bigger now than Motorsport was. But Motorsport is like their Gran Turismo, and it's been there since the first Xbox. And from what I heard, they also make Forza Tech, the game engine that Forza Horizon runs on. And I think Fable is going to run on that as well. So they've kept that side of the team, but they've gotten rid of the side that was supporting Forza Motorsport.
They've got,
sorry,
there's going to be.
I didn't mean to laugh, but when you said that it's the same thing that Fable runs on, I'm imagining like the guy from Fable just like in a fast car saying, "Let's go, boys," and just like going to attack a dragon like in a convertible or something.
Yeah, people have lost their jobs, Steve. Sorry.
I'm only joking.
I'm only
the whole thing about that is it doesn't matter that it's been a staple. Like, there's no brand loyalty, or there's no loyalty within like a big corporation.
No,
like
I know,
that. And it's a shame, because I think other companies sometimes do show, like Nintendo and Sony, like while they're big corporations who are looking for a profit, will sometimes be like, this is an important series for us, so maybe we'll, like, even though it's not the biggest thing, we'll invest in it. Like, fucking Microsoft would never make Knack 2. You know,
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would be like if Sony closed down their Gran Turismo studio.
We're saying that Sony aren't much better. They closed down Studio Japan, which made Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh yeah,
because like The Last Guardian was such a clusterfuck, and like, you know, you can get it, you know, like, oh, you spent 20 years making this game and it didn't sell that well, so, you know, 1 + 1 = 2.
But again, there's no loyalty, you know, like as soon as you make the game that doesn't massively exceed expectations, that's it, like you're considered a failure. So other
sorry, no, go on.
Just some of the other ones that were also like hit with layoffs. ZeniMax, which has got like, you know, Arcane and Machine Gun Games. Is Machine Gun Games actually? Hang on.
Yeah, ZeniMax.
Machine Games. Sorry, Machine Games. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And id Software, like that's the parent company of all of those, so they were hit with a bunch. And a bunch of Call of Duty studios were also hit with a bunch of layoffs. So overall, collectively, it was like about 9,000 employees that were laid off.
They also cancelled their publishing deal with Romero Games in Galway. But apparently, so they did, like, a lot of people have been laid off, but Romero Games are looking for other publishers to take on the game. So I don't know, that's it's a big shame for the Ireland, especially the west of Ireland gaming scene, because Romero Games were like the biggest player there.
Yeah, I think they employed about 100 people.
Yeah.
And there was rumors that they were closing down, but like the studio's owned by him and his wife, so they're like, nah, we're still open. We're just like looking for more funding. But
a lot of people did lose their jobs there as well, unfortunately.
And they're working on a new FPS game, apparently. So really looking forward to seeing what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure he has the juice anymore,
really?
To be honest. Yeah, who knows? Like, if he did something very much in the old style, but like he'll try and make fucking Daikatana again. He'll try and make something
maybe
modern. Like
Daikatana 2, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so move on to something that's slightly less depressing, but still kind of grim. Nintendo do you remember Nintendo? Remember they sold a new console that was like €1 billion, and the games were like about €1 million. So they've taken it upon themselves to start like bricking consoles for people who basically don't follow their little rules.
So is it specifically people who mod the console? Am I right in saying that?
I'm just looking it up now, but if you guys know.
Well, what I heard, now this might only be part of the bands or whatever, but there was this cartridge, third-party cartridge that came out during the Switch 1's lifetime called the MIG Switch. And the way it worked was it allowed you could dump a ROM, which is like basically extract the game from a normal Switch cartridge or a digital game, and you could put it onto this third-party cartridge, the MIG Switch, and you could have multiple games on that one cartridge. So you could dump like all your physical games, put them on this, throw that into your Switch, and then you've got 20 games on one cartridge. So it was a way of like saving space, but obviously it was a way, you know, the company that made the MIG Switch never like explicitly said it, but it was really for pirating games.
Sorry, I love all this footage of Wii remotes going into TVs, man. It's
sick. That's what I was doing while you were talking about Final Fantasy and stuff.
Good work, man.
Yeah.
Good work. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially it was a way of like pirating games because these ROMs could be shared online, and the way they had set, or Nintendo basically had pushed like an update so that if they learned of a ROM like serial code that had been dumped and that came up on your system, you'd instantly get banned, basically. So I don't know if that's exactly the same thing you're talking about, Steve, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, you're right. And I'm like my wires were slightly crossed there. I slightly misunderstood this, but yeah, you know, you're right. It is a case of basically people getting banned for trying to pirate games and like hack games and like. And
yeah, but
I don't know, like
Sorry, just to add into that, I think the reason it became such big news, though, is because people were dumping these ROMs and then, say, selling the physical game to like CEX or GameStop. So then somebody unknowing would go and buy that game, put it into their Switch, but because the serial code had been flagged as a dumped thing, their system would get banned then, even though they bought like a legitimate game. And I think that's why it's made the news so much, because this MIG Switch thing has been around for a few years now. But this is the first time, I think, where I guess innocent people have been caught up in it.
Okay, that is a shame.
Yeah.
And I don't like reselling the game then after isn't good practice.
Yeah.
Really, like if you want to use it for like semi-legitimate reasons, then that's completely fine, I think. And I don't know, I'm not fully against people pirating games because a lot of games aren't available as well.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I think like Nintendo has like a tricky situation on their hands, basically, because how do they differentiate who's legitimate and who's not now if they're after flagging all these serial numbers? But
this is the thing. Like, I mean, Nintendo likes to fix problems with like a giant hammer rather than like, any kind of surgical tools. Like this is the same when when people are streaming their games, and saying like banned, everybody's banned. You can't do that. You're banned. Like that's pretty much how they go about things, unfortunately. So I understand why they're doing this. Like I think I do understand that, but I do think they're going about it the wrong way. They're taking too extreme a measure for it, and it is. You could definitely say it's in violation of consumer rights, like, and to a certain extent, especially considering the people who didn't even realize that they were doing it.
Yeah, 100%. I have heard some people say that they've reached out to like Nintendo support and have been successful in unbanning their accounts. But I think it might be a bit hit and miss because, like you said, they're just so Nintendo are so strict, I guess, when it comes to this kind of thing. So. Yeah,
man, I do love this footage though.
It's great, isn't
the
it?
guy who unwrapped his new TV and then instantly demolished it with fucking Wii bowling or something like sick. So the final topic we wanted to talk about, well, almost final, is the Stop Killing Games initiative, which is like, I'll paraphrase because I'm not an expert in it by any means, but basically it's an online campaign spearheaded by this guy named Ross Scott, who I'll get into in a second. But the basic thing they want is for online games or online only games that are being what's the term for it when they shut it down?
Taken it offline, or
there's a term that
all support has been taken away. Like
but sunsetting, I think, is the term for it. But whenever like an older game that isn't popular anymore gets shut down, to allow for a way for either private servers to run the game or an offline mode to be available, just so people who bought the game can still use it. And they're coming at it from like a consumer rights viewpoint, in that we've paid for this product, and because it's either not popular or the company's gone bust or for any number of reasons it's not being supported anymore, and they just want a way to play it. And obviously a lot of game developers don't want this because it might encroach on like giving a game over in terms of, I don't know, the logistics in terms of source code or anything like that might need to be entailed, or having to backport games into an offline mode that weren't developed for that would be more costly or complicated, or maybe it would make restrictions on making online only games. Basically, it's not advantageous for some developers to do this, but from a consumer rights point of view, obviously it makes a lot of sense. So Ross Scott is this YouTuber who he does the Freeman's Mind series. He's actually a really good YouTuber if he's watched that stuff. But
I follow him. He's great. Yeah.
He's sort of spearheaded that. He also has a series called The Game Dungeon, which is sick. It's really good, really obscure games that he goes through. But he's been sort of banging this drum for years. And I think what happened is he brought out a video maybe a month ago where he was like, it's over, we're fucked. Like, and he sort of called out this other guy who had criticized it and spread a lot of misinformation. I don't know too much about that because it seems a bit YouTube drama-y, and I'm too old to get invested in any of that. But what's happened is, because he brought out this video saying it's over, it sort of spurred a huge wave of bigger YouTubers getting involved and talking about it. And now the online petition, the EU petition, crossed 1 million signatures, which is sort of the benchmark for it getting brought to, I don't know, it's brought up in the EU Parliament or something like that anyway. So it seems like there's a bit of a momentum behind the campaign now, but nothing's guaranteed. And of course, like the amount of things that get brought up in Parliament but don't go anywhere is fucking massive. So it's good to see, though, some momentum behind it. I don't know if practically we can get anything done.
So Yeah, they did. There was a response because I think currently they're at 1.3 million signatures on the petition, and this is just in the EU, by the way. There was a separate one for the UK, which needed to pass 100,000, and it did, but I don't know if anything will happen to that.
I think the deadline for that one is tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
In fact, so if anyone here is listening from the UK or the EU, you can go out and sign both those petitions still.
I guess
the EU one, just for the deadline for that one, is the end of the month. So
they're already
by the
way
time you're
past
hearing
it,
this.
The only thing about that is they need more signatures because a lot of those get nullified when there's a second check on the signatures as well.
Basically, the response was from who actually released that? Video Games Europe,
or something, wasn't it?
It's like a trade association that represents developers and publishers in the EU, and they kind of just put out this broad statement saying that it's a multifaceted issue, and we can't guarantee this, blah blah blah. But that doesn't mean it still can't progress and, like you say, be brought up in Parliament.
And obviously, they represent the interests of the game companies rather than the consumers.
And I think the important thing about this, though, is like you were saying, Michael, it can be difficult maybe for some publishers or developers to make their game offline or work offline when they discontinue online services, because the game has been built that way, so intertwined with having a connection to a server. Fair enough for older games, but I think if this does work, it could change the law so that going forward, when building the game from scratch, it's we need to have an option to run this offline. I think the Crew 1 was what really spurred this on. Because Ubisoft took that game offline and just said, sorry, we're setting sail on this, or sunsetting this this game completely with no offline mode, and it was just gone. And I think there was a load of backlash about that, and Ubisoft since then have come out. They can't do anything about the Crew 1, unfortunately, I think, because that's just the way the game was built. But the Crew 2 and the Crew Motorfest, the following games, they've built in stuff into them to basically mean when the servers go offline, we can make the game playable offline, which is a great step, I think, and something that other developers are taking up as well. But we'll have to kind of wait and see what comes out of this.
It's funny. You go ahead, Steve, actually.
I was looking at your man Ross Scott's response to that response, and he basically broke down every single point that they made. Probably the most interesting one that I found was so the Video Games Europe basically said that this wouldn't be cost effective to try and maintain games after support has been taken away. But he was saying that he heard from multiple developers who basically said, in terms of finances, to keep a game sustainable after support has been taken away would require about 2% of the overall finances spent on a video game. The rest of it is all based on things online safety and microtransactions and things like that, stuff that people don't really want. And so long as they have some kind of splash screen at the start saying, hey, so you're completely liable for anything that might happen here, it's going to be a bit more of the Wild West online or on servers. So this is all on you, we have nothing to do with that, we absolve ourselves of that. And that was kind of the solution he put forward to their response, and it seems pretty fair, I'd say.
My only argument would be, where's that 2% going to come from? And I guess the response to that is the fans. So maybe it's a system where only if there's enough investment from the community if they want, they'll have the option to run these online servers. But I've no idea. It's completely over my head, the legal implications of somebody's intellectual property being run privately without any oversight from the developer.
But that kind of thing happens already, though. There's already tons of private servers for games that are still online. People just create a private server for and do what they want, or mod the hell out of it.
But maybe there's some oversight from the developers on those. I'm not
probably they can ban stuff and things like that. But I think that's one thing. The online side of it is one thing. There's definitely, because I imagine most games have some declaration when you go into it that we have to reserve the right to shut off these servers. But if that makes the entire game unplayable, that's the issue. And if you can have an offline mode with bots, say, then like just for preservation's sake, the game still exists, and you can go into it in 20 years and see like, oh, cool, that's how this game was, or whatever.
It's important, I think, because there's so much lost media in games already.
Exactly, and there's plenty of at least I remember back in the day, like on the PS3 360 days. Like if you had, that was more when there was tacked on multiplayer to games, but there was usually a mode to play with bots as well as play with like actual people online.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I feel like it wouldn't be that difficult, but it's more when games like The Crew and stuff are built to run online. Like you have to be connected all the time. That's where the issue is with like, well, there's no way we can like have this game exist without an online connection. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it stems from that whole thing of the initial incentive for not the initial, but one of the incentives for this online connection is so that they can constantly push
the numbers.
Well, push like microtransactions and different things like that, and that gets taken away then if there's this offline mode available. So that might be a big incentive for the companies not to do this or to fight against any legislation being brought in.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's not just that, but as well as that, if people are playing games that don't have any of this stuff on it, it's stopping them from playing new games that they're bringing out. So it's in no way beneficial for them to do this at all, which is why they're going to fight it for as much as they can.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, but there's like so many older games that are like, say, single player only that people are going to play anyway. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't.
Yeah, I know. It won't make a huge difference, I'm saying, but it doesn't help them in any way, is what I mean.
Sorry, so. I see what you mean.
The final piece of news that we're going to talk about just very briefly is the anniversary, the 25th anniversary of the release of Final Fantasy IX on the 7th of July recently passed us by. And what glorious announcements were made, Stephen, to commemorate that?
Everyone was waiting. Everybody knew it was going to happen. And we were there at the edge of our seats when they finally announced that they did an art competition for the Final Fantasy IX.
The thing that gets me is that it's been very hyped up, this anniversary. And of course, like, it's a landmark game, it's a classic, and they want to talk about the 25th anniversary is a big deal. But like, they've got to be aware that sets expectations when, the date's coming up and they've got like a whole week of announcements and all like this, and then the date's here and they announce like, oh, we've written a poem about the game. That's, like I don't know, like I'm torn because like, you shouldn't expect things from creators and people can be crybabies about that. But also, let us know at least what's happening.
To be honest, I find it funny. I'm not mad at them or anything like that. Because everybody's been saying, oh yeah, there's a remake on the way. Yeah. And they'll announce it when they announce it. It doesn't matter. And if they announced it early and it looked shit, it makes more sense for them, obviously, to wait until it looks good. So, it's just really funny how up in arms people got about this, saying like, I can't believe this. And to be fair, the artwork is very nice.
It is. No, it's cool. And I'm glad they're commemorating it in some ways because it's not forgotten, but like a lot of other Final Fantasies get talking about a lot more. But how would they even do a remake? Like, I can't imagine them doing a FF7 remake style game.
Well, did you hear about Project Memoria when it came out?
Oh, is that like an Octopath Traveler style one?
No, well, not quite. It was... So this was a fan-made remake demo, and basically it just showcased the part of the game at the very start where Vivi is wandering around the streets of Alexandria. And they did it in kind of a diorama style, but in really stunning 4K graphics. And you should look it up. I might actually link it into the chat here for anyone who's interested in it. But it was interesting because it didn't follow the Final Fantasy VII remake style, which was very bombastic, high budget, incredible looking. This was much more humble, down to earth, and very much in the style of Final Fantasy IX. So I think that is kind of what people were hoping for. I don't know. I think it would work if they did that, but anything really.
Yeah, it's
we've worked.
It's a bit of a shame, but also pretty hilarious. That was an art competition that they announced as well when people were expecting like a full dick remake to be announced. But anyway, well, unless we've any other things to talk about, boys, I think that is it. Any closing thoughts, remarks?
Yeah, I think we've covered everything basically.
Everything ever said.
Everything ever.
Everything,
yeah.
Exactly. I just very quickly want to plug that I still write reviews on GG Game Tracker if anyone is interested in those ramblings. Michael does as well under the name The Cardboard Box Item, and they are very succinct and witty. So I'd highly recommend those.
Mine for fucking Expedition 33 was, this isn't funny.
I like that one, actually.
It's le good, but not le great. I finished that, by the way, Sean.
Oh, shit.
I did exactly what you did. I just put it down to easy mode and went to the last boss, and like it was so easy.
Yeah,
like the gulf in difficulty was like
crazy.
Every parry worked, basically.
Yeah.
Good game. Really good game. Not the modern classic that everyone says.
Without spoiling anything, like what did you think of the big twist kind of at the end, that whole thing?
I liked it, and I liked the decision you make at the end, actually.
Oh yeah.
And
I thought that was mad though. I mean, just without spoiling.
Did I leave the room for this?
No,
it's all good.
We won't spoil it.
I'll just tell you, Sean, I went with him rather than her.
Okay, do you know you can just load it though and do it the other way around?
Oh really?
Straight away?
Oh yeah, I might check that out. But yeah, that worked for me. There's lots of things that didn't work in the game for me, but or weren't quite as masterpiece level as everyone says. But the conceit and the twist and everything like that worked for me. I did like that.
The only thing I didn't like was just him kind of switching up a bit out of nowhere. Like that kind of, I felt like that was like came out of nowhere for me.
I could understand the motivation. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah. Anyway.
But that's it. Check us out. We'll have a podcast next month running over whatever layoffs happen between now and then, I presume.
Oh, don't say that.
And
I'm also... We do have videos up on YouTube very occasionally, and I haven't told the lads this, but I am working on a new series at the moment. It's going to be very, very sporadic, so please be patient, but I'm hoping to have that up in the next 2 months or so.
Okay.
Maybe.
Oh, wow.
Wow, I can't wait to hear what that's about.
I'm glad, yeah, we're hearing about this for the first time. It's like, Michael, you're going to edit like 10 hours of something.
Yeah, 2 months is your time limit. Sorry, guys.
All right, cool. Sayonara.
Actually, just to be safe, let's say the end of the year. Eh?
Yeah, I was thinking that's more realistic. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. We'll see you hopefully next month at some point.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Good luck.